Join me today as we discuss House on Eden, the movie. Fat cat. Hello everyone, my name is Florio. Welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. Either way is good to have you here. So this is the second time I'm recording this. Me and KK, we sort of quickly reviewed House on Eden in a very, a bit of chaotic situation when we were doing a stream. So I wanted to kind of do a little bit more of a calmer, structured layout, hopefully, review. I am just going to kind of talk off the top of my head, but I want to put a little bit more thought into what I'm saying about it. And because I did a first cut of this and I was kind of jumping all over the place a little bit too much, and I wasn't making much sense. So if I find anything in that first cut that I forgot to discuss here, I might throw it in here as well. Okay, before we begin, a few things. Number one, spoilers. First of all, I'm not a review channel. I'm more reviewing this as the debunking community because this movie was made by Kallme, Kris, and Celina Spookyboo, and they both do ghost hunts on YouTube. And Celina specifically also tries to tell people that she is psychic. So they are a subject matter that I've covered a lot on my channel, and mainly because I look at psychics and I expose them and bust them and so forth. So that's why I kind of got interested in Celina and Kris in that particular way. I was a Kris and Celina fan a long time ago, like since they started, and I think they're great at comedy. I think they're great on the camera. I think they're really good actors. But when Celina started trying to sell her psychic stuff and she was spreading false information about people and locations, that's when I start to have a problem. And that's when I kind of changed to the other side of, I'm going to look into what these girls are doing and break it down for people and explain the problems with what they're doing. You can check out, I have a bunch of videos on their ghost hunts that I've analyzed as well. So this review is kind of structured more towards the debunking community. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to review the movie a little bit just as a movie goer, and then we'll get into the stuff that is important for the debunking community to understand about this movie, because this is actually quite important and we should try to realize and make note of it, because this is a good learning experience for us to understand at what point are they acting or faking stuff for ghost hunts for YouTube. Okay, so for those unfamiliar, Kallme, Kris, Celina Spookyboo. Again, they're YouTubers. They have a bunch of comedy stuff. Celina also, she got famous off her sleepwalking videos, which a lot of people question her sleepwalking, if it's real or not. And Kris has skits and so forth. They are also friends with Sam and Colby, and that's when they got started with this whole ghost hunt thing. And now they do it on their other channel that they created this year, which is Can't Sleep. And that's where they're putting all their paranormal investigations now. Now, positives are, first off, congratulations to them. You know, Kris, Celina, and Jay, that's her editor and cameraman a lot of times. They created a movie. They wrote, Kris wrote the movie apparently, and then they acted in it. They created it. They filmed it. They got it out on Shudder. They got it out to some movie theaters as well. And that's a big feat. And congratulations to them for achieving those goals. That's huge. That being said, let's break down the movie a little bit. I'm going to try to remember it off the top of my head now because it's been a little while. And I'm going to talk about it as a moviegoer, and then I'm going to try to talk about it as a debunker, but there might be a little bit of crossover. Like I said, spoilers, I'm not going to hide any of the movie content from you. So the movie setting is they're on this road trip trying to find what to do their next YouTube video about. Then Kris finds this place, this house on Eden. The whole premise of the movie is that she is trying to create a YouTube video and a ghost hunt on a place that no one's ever been before. That's what we need to do to set ourselves apart and to make ourselves big and popular. And that's why I said in one of my videos recently, do they do their research by watching their other friends' videos? I feel like they don't actually research any of these places. They just take whatever the host tells them and whatever they've seen their friends do in videos, and that's what they put for their research, because I'm constantly fact checking their research and it's wrong. I just wonder if this is what they do, because they kind of give away their secrets in the movie. And so they kind of open it with that. Now they are playing themselves, and this is very important as well for later, which we'll get into. It's the same inflection of their voices. It's the same attitudes. It's the same everything that they show in their paranormal investigation videos. So all it shows is that the same level of acting went into their movie as it does go into their YouTube videos, right? I think it was a mistake for them to release a movie like this because honestly, people should be questioning all their paranormal stuff going forward from here. So they end up calling Sam and Colby on the phone to ask if they've ever heard of this house, and it's horrible acting, of course, from Colby talking about this house. It seemed very forced. I don't know. They end up deciding, okay, we're going to go to this house. Now, all through this movie, Kris is being very, very bitchy and very mean to everybody, and just like, I don't know. That's the premise of this, is that she's really mean to everybody and she's being really rude and bitchy. But then we end up finding out that she's pregnant. So I don't know if they're trying to say that she was bitchy because she was pregnant, or if they're just trying to say she's a diva in general. Like, she's acting like a diva. So she's ordering everyone around and demanding things of them and getting frustrated, and then like getting frustrated with Jay. There was a lot of like weird sexual tension that they were building up with Jay crushing on Kris, and he kept doing shots of her butt. I was like, what is this? What's going on? And then Kris then admits to Celina that she's pregnant, but like, I don't think it's Jay's baby because Jay's like crushing on her. They don't say whose baby. It's very confusing. Like, there's no Caleb or her husband in this story. It was just the three of them. They end up going to this house, but they have to like go through a forest to get to it. So they're traveling to it, and they're kind of like messing around in the bush. And oh yeah, and Celina does a bunch of poop jokes and stuff too in this, because that's typical of her humor. It felt out of place, but if you know them, it makes sense. But if you're someone who has no idea who these YouTubers are, it was very out of place. Like, as just a general moviegoer who doesn't know. Oh, also key thing, this movie is in a found footage kind of setting. Now, the thing with the found footage, and this is the feedback I've heard from people, some people said that it gave them motion sickness. I watched it on a smaller screen, so it didn't really give me that. I thought the editing was nice and well done. It was a little too artsy to be a found footage film. He put in a lot of effects and stuff to show like a 4mm, 8mm, like a really old film in there. And it just didn't really make sense. Like, it was a little bit too fancy of editing for a found footage film. At the beginning, and they're in the forest and all that, and Celina is playing with her camera, and she's saying that she doesn't know how to use the camera. Like, she's a successful YouTuber. She knows how to use a camera. And that's why they brought Jay along for the cameras. I don't know. So they end up playing around the forest, whatever. It's their typical thing. They play a game. I think it's like hide and seek or something. They end up making it to the house. And so they make it to the house, and then the majority of the movie the movie's like 90 minutes, I think. And from them beginning the whole thing and then finally making it to the house, I think we're like 30 minutes in at this point. So nothing's happened yet. They get to the house and they're kind of unpacking, and then they're trying to decide if they're going to spend the night there. I might be misremembering, or if they're going to come back in the morning, something like that. So they end up in the house, and this house has no dust on it. Everything looks clean. It doesn't look like it's been sitting there rotting the whole time, and they don't really question that too much. Like, it's like, okay, it's kind of like a plot hole there. They end up deciding that they're going to spend the night there and then do an investigation. There's a few scenes, and I might be out of order on it, but they sit at a table. There's one scene, this is as a movie review. They sit at a table, and the three of them are discussing what they're going to do and discussing their plans and everything. And on YouTube, we often just do cuts to fill in the dead air, because on YouTube, people like who consume it, they just like to hear the voice continuing to go. And if there's constant dead air and like dead spots, then it doesn't really keep people's attention. Whereas on the movie, you kind of would include music and fancy camera angles and B-roll for like a lot of dead air. So it was edited like a YouTube video. The three of them are around a table, and it would cut. Like, Jay would say one word, then cut. And then he'd say a second word, then cut. Oh my gosh. It was so, you redo your lines to get a perfect take, or set up a separate camera as a secondary take and use that to do your cuts. And they just didn't even bother to do that. And it was just like cut, cut, cut. Like, they couldn't even finish their sentence without cuts going. As a moviegoer, that's a little bit jarring, right? Like, there's a little bit too many cuts in there, and they should just keep reshooting it until you get the lines correct, or shoot from a different angle and use that for any mistakes in your lines. So there's that. Then they're kind of arguing about what they're doing, if they're staying or going, which again doesn't really make sense, because at the time that they showed up at the forest and everything, is like, you could tell what time of the day it is. So I don't know why they decided to discuss it now. At one point they fall asleep, and then they wake up and everyone's missing, but this might be after. So let me just backtrack, because I know I'm a little bit all over the place and I'm trying to remember it in order as best as I can. They do a ghost hunt thing, and let me just come back to the ghost hunting stuff as a debunker. So they do ghost hunt stuff. They have the Alice box. They're talking to the ghost. They're doing all that. Then Kris, she ends up seeing like this picture of Lilith on the wall, like a demon Lilith. and she Googles it and she's telling the camera, I just Googled this and it says it's Lilith. And Lilith is this person. She's reading off who Lilith is. And it's just like, you're playing yourself. You're playing Kris, and Kris was raised in a very Christian household, as far as I've heard from everywhere online, people talking about it. And I've seen like even people that she went to school with and stuff talking about it. So like she knows the Bible, right? And we know that they know about demons in the Bible and things like that because they go ghost hunting. You're playing yourself, but now you're trying to pretend like you don't know who Lilith is. So that was a little bit kind of like, oh, come on, at least just play fictional characters if you're going to do that. It seemed really out of place because they should already know who Lilith is. Most ghost hunters do. Like Lilith is a pretty big name. Someone saying that they don't know who Adam and Eve is, especially when you're like in the paranormal industry, you're inside all the supernatural stuff. You know who Lilith is. So that felt really disjointed and out of place to me. So she finds this picture. She talks to the camera about it. Then they're doing this around the table thing. It might have been with the Alice box or it might have been Estes or something. But then they hear a bang from upstairs. So normally in their ghost hunting videos on YouTube, they don't go to the noise. Nobody ever goes to the noise, which is why I think most of the time the noise can either be debunked or it's being faked. So they hear the bang, and then Kris decides that she has to go to the noise and figure out what it is. So suddenly now she's brave. Whereas all of the YouTube ghost hunting videos, she acts like this scared little like deer caught in headlights. And I know she's not. So she goes upstairs, and then there's this room, and on top of the door, it says Lilith. Like, it's like they just keep throwing Lilith in your face very obviously. And then she talks about some lore about Lilith not being able to procreate. That was like one of her punishments for denying Adam or whatever. And, it's biblical Bible stuff. There's a lot of Bible stuff in this one. So they're really shoehorning in this Lilith thing. And it's pretty obvious by now. Okay, you're dealing with Lilith. Like, could you put it any more in our face? Because the thing with found footage films, the majority of them are kind of like a creepypasta, and they're not in your face with the content. Like they're not spoon feeding you the topic and the content. They kind of leave it open-ended for discussion and for you to explore the universe afterwards and talk with people. But in this movie, she spoon fed us everything to the point where like, okay, obviously this is Lilith with you. They end up falling asleep. Then they get separated. Then they wake up. Celina is sleepwalking, because they're all acting in this movie. This isn't real. So Celina's sleepwalking. Jay tries to wake her up because she's like in a trance or whatever. She punches Jay in the face and she's like, don't you know not to wake up someone who's sleepwalking? Kris keeps getting tired and then Celina's like asking her what's wrong. And then that's when Kris is like, oh, I'm pregnant. It's like, okay, whatever. So they got together again to do the Alice box again in another room, but the Alice box then died. Of course, batteries died. So then Jay's like, well, I brought some batteries. And Kris is being mean this whole time. And she says, well, finally, you're good for something. It's the only reason I brought you around is to manage this stuff. Then Jay can't find the batteries, which he should have had in his bag, and they're not there. And then him and Kris get into a big fight. Jay goes outside to have a cigarette, and then he ends up getting grabbed and kidnapped by something that we don't see off screen. It cuts to Celina immediately with the Alice box going, I just found batteries. It was so, I don't know. There was a bit of like plot armor with that or something. Okay, maybe you shouldn't have found the batteries. Maybe you should have done the Celina scene before Jay gets kidnapped because it seemed really weird that suddenly now she found batteries after the big blowout that they just had and got Jay kidnapped. Okay. Then Celina does a bit of the Alice box and all through the Alice box stuff too. There's a whole debunking side of that, which I'll circle back to. Celina then ends up being like possessed or something. She starts talking in tongues. She does a very good job with the acting of this. She does a really good job talking in tongues and looking possessed. Then she attacks Kris and then like slams Kris into this bathtub that's filled with red water. It's clear it's not blood, but it's like red liquid for some reason. Kris comes out of it. Kris falls asleep in the attic. And then there's this old woman that shows up. And this old woman, there was like flashes of her throughout the movie, I think here and there. And this old woman shows up and this old woman takes her life over top of Kris and makes sure that she's bleeding on her. And then I guess she gets transferred. She's Lilith, the old lady. And then she gets transferred into Kris. And I think they're essentially alluding to the fact that this is how Lilith procreates because Lilith can't have children because it's like a punishment from God. So she does this to procreate. And then they end up cutting to this scene before they went out into the forest where Kris is in a convenience store and they're on their way out to this house. And this old lady is, oh, congratulations. And it's the old lady. And she said, congratulations on being pregnant. It's really weird because as a moviegoer, then it's like, okay, well, if this wasn't a haunted house. This is like some weird cult or something, and there's demons. So if they dragged you out to the house, you found the house before you met the old lady. Did the house call you, or did the old lady just follow you to this house because you happened to cross paths with her? It seemed out of place. So it would have made more sense if the old lady was telling her about this haunted house and like tricking them to go there. Like that would have been a better scene that would have made more sense and been more cohesive. Then it cuts to Kris, who's now Lilith, and she comes up to a group of cult leaders or demons. I don't know, just a group of people all hooded and stuff. Big bonfire. They undress her and then they start covering her in the blood of their victims, which I guess is all of her friends or whatever. Then the movie ends. All this Lilith stuff that I just told you about, like, it happened in like the last 10 minutes. The Lilith showing up, the old lady, the convenience store, Celina attacking Kris, and Kris being taken over by Lilith. This whole movie, nothing was really happening too much. And the last 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, if you include the fight with Jay, and then Celina's just odd little possession thing, that was about 15 minutes, I think maybe 20. But in like a, 70-minute movie, the majority of the movie was nothing. It was just banter and stuff that was kind of dumb. And I think it works for people who are fans of their YouTube channel because it was YouTube humor and just dumb crap that they do. People who enjoy found footage films, it didn't really make sense. They spent too much time on the lead up and they really just, it felt really rushed at the end. That's what it was. It felt really rushed that they were tying up the story really quickly. And then from there, it's just like, okay, it's obvious. All the lore's obvious. We don't have to ask any questions of who is that? What is this? Because they spoon fed us all the details. So there's nothing really to discuss with your friends and to discuss online about it because it's pretty obvious, the whole story. Like they really didn't leave anything to any imagination or anything like that. So I don't know. I think that's a problem with the movie because a lot of found footage films are more like a creepypasta, which doesn't necessarily give you an ending most of the time, or it leaves the ending with questions and like things that aren't tied in a bow so that you ask more about it. And it encourages sequels and prequels. And that's the thing, I heard that Kris was talking about, oh, well, maybe we could do a prequel to explain Lilith. Okay, but it's pretty obvious at this point. It's House on Eden, the Garden of Eden. Lilith, we know that she already took over the body. Like all this stuff is pretty straightforward. I don't really see the need for a prequel. That's sort of like my summary as, I guess, a movie goer. And there might be some stuff that I may have left out, but I wanted to kind of discuss it more as a movie goer. Now we're going to flip into the debunking community. Okay. Like I said, we would come back to this stuff. As a debunker, these two girls go out and they do ghost hunting. Celina tells people that she is psychic. I don't think Kris really cares either way with the ghost hunting. I think she just goes because she wants to hang out with Celina and have some fun. And ghost hunting videos, they do well for them because they're friends with Sam and Colby and they've built an audience off of their audience and so forth. We know that they go out and do these ghost hunts, and on their YouTube channel, none of their YouTubes say this is for entertainment purpose only. None of their YouTubes say that, all of this is fake, that this is just for entertainment. In fact, when they talk in their YouTube videos, and when Celina, for instance, talks to her fans and does like even the heart-to-heart YouTube videos that she does, they're serious. Like she's like, I am psychic. This is real. So this isn't like a, hey, we know it's entertainment purpose only. We know that, we're just messing around and this doesn't prove anything. No, they sell it as real. And this is the problem. This is the problem. This is why we have the debunking community, because there's people that believe them and there's people that get really hung up on this stuff, and it can actually really affect someone's psyche, especially the psychic angle. And don't even get me started. I mean, well, those who know my channel know how I feel about psychic stuff. I have a whole playlist, which I'll link as well. They can be very damaging, especially when Celina has been debunked. Every time she's gone to one of these haunted places and she has her visions, she's been debunked. Like she gets the information incorrect. And what she does is they have millions of followers, and Sam and Colby have millions of followers. So she's essentially making up lies and besmirching people who might still be alive or might be family members of somebody. Like the stuff for our school, for instance, that was horrible. She was like accusing someone of like hurting the kids, and that wasn't the case. So go check out Seg's videos on her. Side-Eye Guy, Celina, Spookyboo. Just throw it into YouTube. You'll find them all. So this is why we care. All right. Because I know some people are like, who cares? And it's people that aren't part of the debunking community. This is why we care. Now, let's talk a little bit about how much they faked stuff in this movie. Celina, first of all, too, Celina got famous off her sleepwalking videos of her doing silly things while she's apparently sleepwalking. A lot of people think that they are faked because she's able to produce so many videos, and like sleepwalking, you can't just turn it on. But she says that she can if she eats cheese and chocolate right before bed, which is a little silly. And her sleepwalking videos show her leaving the house and getting outside. And if someone has that severe sleepwalking, or if you know that you're planning to do the sleepwalking, then you would have things locked up. People who have severe sleepwalking, they hurt themselves, and they have locks on the doors that they can't unlock while they're asleep. They're like complicated locks. Like they have things in place to protect themselves from hurting themselves while they're sleepwalking. And I haven't seen any of that kind of stuff in Celina's house and any of her sleepwalking videos. I do question them. I don't think that they're real. Maybe like one here and there is real, but the rest I think are stupid. And like she started wearing these full outfits, these onesies and stuff as characters, and saying that if she doesn't, then she'll take off all her clothes. And that's normally what she does in her sleep is take them all off, but she can't take off onesies because they're too complicated. It's like, I don't know. It's just an excuse, I think, to look stupid on camera, to get laughs, to get clicks, to build your audience, right? So in this movie, she does an acting scene where she's sleepwalking. And she's doing her sleepwalking thing, and she's in a trance and doing stuff. And then Jay wakes her up. So first of all, there's that. Celina is, out of the three of them, Celina's the best actor out of the three of them. She's very good. Kris isn't bad at acting, just some things that she's not very good at certain parts, I find. Jay's not an actor. He's an editor. He's a filmographer, cameraman. So his lines and his role, like it felt a little bit off because you could tell like he wasn't super comfortable doing that stuff in front of the camera. But you know, it is what it is as a job for him. He's not a YouTuber. He helps the YouTuber. So keeping that in mind, Celina is quite good actor. Let's talk about the ghost hunting tools. So they use the Alice box, and with the Alice box, they're talking to it, and they have lines that I guess they've written for this. And their Alice box is saying the words that they want it to say, right? How long did they sit there until the Alice box said it? Or is the Alice box saying exactly what they want? Or did they edit in words from the Alice box and put it in their video? Like, these are all the questions you got to ask now, because now that they've written a movie where they're doing a scripted movie about ghost hunting, and their ghost hunting is exactly the same as what you see on their YouTube channel. And then on top of that, this house they went to wasn't haunted. But then they later released this story that there was a moment in the house that seemed weird and something unexplainable happened, and maybe the house was haunted. And then that could explain away how they faked all their stuff, right? They were trying to put in some sort of like plot armor in real life for it. So the Alice box, and they always do this too. People are like, oh, it doesn't say the same word twice. It never does that. That ended up happening in the movie, which is ridiculous. And even, you know, I just recently did a ghost hunt, like little silly time with KK, and the app repeated the same term in a row as well. So like it happens, they just act like it doesn't. So that happened. Then they did the whole "my batteries died" thing, which is a whole ghost trope as well. So they're clearly faking Alice box stuff. Battery stuff, pretty obvious that they fake it. I can't remember if they did an Estes. I think they did. And the thing is, I'm starting to think that they actually fake their Estes in their new ghost hunt stuff on Can't Sleep. I've noticed something with it, and I will be doing a separate video on that. So the Estes, that's easy to fake and easy to script, right? I can script the whole thing because you're just wearing headphones. We can't hear what they're hearing. We have to take their word for it. There was a moment in there where I'm not sure if Celina was trying to say that she felt sick or not sick. It was a little bit unclear with the line. Is either she was saying, I feel sick, or I feel nothing, but I feel sick. And the thing is, Celina says that she feels sick whenever there's like spirits or ghosts trying to talk to her. But she has Meniere's disease, and that causes a lot of her, like, you know, feeling like she's going to faint, feeling like she's going to puke, things like that. And she's like, well, I can tell the difference between a ghost and the disease. It's just like, okay, whatever. It's just more excuses to explain away things. Then the biggest thing for the debunking community to learn about too is they did a really good scene with cat balls. And if I did show you a clip of it, I don't know what all is going to be copyrighted hardcore. So there's a scene. Kris is in a room and she's like got cat balls all set up from like the bed to like this door. So there's like 6 cat balls. And then she's like, is anybody here? Come talk to me. You can move a cat ball, like the typical crap, right? And then she turns around to look at something. I don't really know why. And then we see the cat ball go off like someone's walking. So we see one cat ball go and then the next cat ball goes off. And then the one turns off. The one that was just on turns off as they hit the next one. So it's like footprints, like boom, 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 but with the lights. And that one is really well done. That scene was very well done technically, the technical side of it, to fake cat balls going off. It was very well done. Like just in general, it was very well done. So it's just more evidence that they are capable of faking this stuff and making it look good for the camera. If I could play the scene, I would love to, but unfortunately, copyright and everything. So from the debunking community side of it, if you are curious, and I know it costs money to watch their movie and you don't necessarily want to give them the money, but if you want to understand and see how like all this stuff is fake that they're doing on their YouTube, just like all their friends, just go watch a movie that they scripted the whole thing and they faked all this evidence to script the movie. Like they needed to fake the evidence to make it fit the script. You got to start questioning their YouTube videos too. This was, I think, kind of dumb of them to release a movie like this, because all it does is prove that they know how to fake evidence. Everyone, all these ghost hunter YouTubers, they all know how to fake this evidence, and just people don't put it together. I mean, the debunking community obviously does, but they have so many fans that don't put it together. And I just hope watching this movie that the fans realize like, hey, if they can fake it for the movie, they can fake it for the YouTube video as well. So don't take any of their stuff seriously. Like they are lying to you. They are good actors. I know everyone's like, they're not great actors, but they're better than like the general public. Like they're better than us. Celina is a very good actor, actually. And they're just lying to everyone. So just don't fall for the crap. So from a movie review aspect, I feel like the story was shoehorned in too much. At the end, it was very rushed and it was spoon fed to us. There wasn't any questions left unanswered. It was pretty cut and dry and kind of like, it was a trope. It was very tropey. The ending kind of reminded me of Midsommar a little bit too. It felt like she took stuff from other movies and kind of put it in hers, but it was feeling a little bit out of place and jagged in certain areas. Like it just didn't flow very well. I know some people like, oh, what do you expect? It's their first movie and they're YouTubers and what are they going to do? Okay, but go watch on YouTube. There's a movie called Cereal Milk. And it's cereal like a serial killer and milk. That movie is amazing. That's a found footage, was done by YouTubers on a lesser budget than what Kris and Celina did, and lesser people involved. That movie is amazing because the story is good. And you're like invested in the characters. In this movie we're really not invested in the characters. If you already know of Celina and Kris and Jay, you're invested. But as someone coming into that movie who doesn't know anything about them, there was no character development. Just that Kris was being a bitch to everyone, and Celina has poop problems with her bowels, which she does in real life too. And Jay had a crush on Kris. Like that's the breadth of the character development. It really fell flat. And from a debunking side of it, they made a movie that proved that they know how to fake all their ghost evidence that they've ever caught. And that's what they've built, especially Celina has built a career on. So that's why I just wanted to kind of do a review here and put it out there. I was going to include the clip of me and KK giving our review during a live stream, but it pretty much just repeats everything I said in this video. If you want to go watch the live stream, you can. It's the one where me and KK are taste testing foods from different countries. I'm just going to leave the video as is right here. Let me know, have you watched House on Eden? What are your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy the movie? Did you find it believable? As a debunker or as a skeptic, how do you feel now knowing that they know how to fake all their evidence? What are your thoughts on that? Please leave a comment below and let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. As well, there's a new feature for hyping a video too. And I'd really appreciate it if you could give me some hype points as well, because it really does help the channel out. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye, cat.